Ed,
And I'm Brooke.
and today we are discussing Season 1, Episode 5, Bloody Mary. Before we get into it, quick spoiler warning, we will be connecting dots across the entire series, so if you haven't finished watching it, or if this is your first time watching Supernatural, please consider this a heads up. We will be doing a lot of spoilers. And also, before we get going, an explicit content warning, we are adults talking about an adult show that deals with adult and dark and sensitive topics. So expect adult language, mature discussion, and dark humor.
This one is kind of dark. So we are now in Toledo, Ohio, which is a real place. That's like our first real city. And we're following a group of girls who summon Bloody Mary. And after the words are said, the girl's dad dies in a very mysterious way. Two other girls are trying to prove to a friend that the legend isn't real, so they end up saying it, and one of them ends up dying. The other doesn't, though, because we find out that Mary only kills people with secret deaths surrounding them. We learn more about why Jess's death is haunting Sam and how Dean doesn't know the whole story.
Yeah. Very good synopsis.
Mhm.
First things first, I thought it was hilarious that this is the first episode where we're actually like in a real place.
Yeah.
Everything else was like very not like I know like the Wendigo one I believe had like a one that was kind of real but not quite the way they had it laid out.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny that this is like the first one that's like in a named known city.
Yeah, it's where the creator is from. Eric Kripke, he's from
That
Toledo.
would make a lot of sense then.
Yeah, and a lot of the, like, I was about to say NPCs background characters are named after people like he knows.
I love that.
Oh.
I love when different directors and stuff do that.
Yeah. But also I just wanted to say real quick, because last episode I said I would make this correction. When I said the black eyes for the demons are different in later seasons, what it really is in last episode in Phantom Traveler, the demon entered their body through their eyes. But in from now on, they like enter through their mouth. They never go through the eyes
Yeah.
again. So
Yeah, that's why when
that's
you
a
said the
difference.
full black eyes, I was like, "Is that a thing?" I had to like think about it because I'm like, I don't know, but I trusted you on
Mhm.
that one. So you lied to us. I'm disappointed. No,
Mhm.
but yeah, I thought that was also interesting that they went through the eyes in that episode, and then from now on, don't.
Mhm. And they don't look like as smoky
Yeah,
later
the effects get
as
better.
well.
It looks more smoky, but more like actual smoke.
Mhm.
And not digital effect. But I really like this episode, all things considered. I thought
Mhm.
it was really fun. I really liked the abilities of like the demon or like the ghost that was like attacking them.
Mhm.
Yeah, overall, I thought it was a really fun episode. It kind of flew by for me.
Yeah, it did for me too. What's interesting is I thought this one, like, you find out this one is another vengeful spirit wrapped in a disguise of folklore. Just like the
Yeah,
Lady in White, it wasn't really folklore, it was a vengeful spirit that became the Lady in White. And like, this monster really isn't Bloody Mary, the legend. It's a woman named Mary who died.
and does
So,
similar things though. To the Bloody Mary legend, like it's
yeah.
actually pretty accurate. So
Oh, well, then we'll have to get into it. Um,
yeah, for sure.
However, I also want to point out, I mentioned this when we discussed the pilot episode, how the music is different when you listen to it on Netflix versus when it aired on TV. And that is
hmm
because when this show first came out, streaming was not a thing yet. So when they signed their music contracts, it was for the TV network that they were on and
Mm.
DVDs.
Ah,
So when they went to streaming, even on like when it was available per purchase on like iTunes, that was even before streaming was a thing. You could buy TV shows on iTunes. They still had to change all the music.
that's crazy. I didn't realize
Hmm.
that, but yeah, copyright stuff with that is really weird.
Yeah. So that's why, because there's been speculation about when Supernatural gets taken off of Netflix, if they'll put the original music back in. And it kind of seems like, no, you have to like buy the DVD only for the first like handful of seasons. Because after that, streaming kind of started happening. It was like 2010s ish when like streaming became really big. But
Yeah.
um,
That is so
mhm.
interesting, though. Like, I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I heard that in an interview I listened to for this episode. And then the actor who plays Mary in this episode is also brought back in season 14 to reprise her role when they start bringing back the monsters
I love
from
that.
early seasons.
That's
Yeah, because
amazing.
some of them they had to replace because like the actors couldn't come back for various reasons, but she
Yeah.
came back. So
That's really cool.
yeah, I really liked it. But yeah, with all of this said, you can listen to us on our all of our major on all major platforms and watch along on YouTube. If you'd like to support the show, you can head over to patreon.com/Winchester Archives Podcast, where there are a ton of perks like our Discord community to monthly digital art and our bonus episodes called the Archive Addendum, which we still haven't started, but we need to. But that is perk.
And along with that, we're always accepting stories for our field research episodes that we have those ideas for, where we share stories written by our listeners. So if you have any hometown legends, ghost hunting stories, cryptid encounters, or anything from your supernatural life, feel free to send them our way. winchesterarchivespodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Instagram and TikTok at Winchester Archives Pod. So now, Brooke, please take us into the episode specs of season 1, episode 5, Bloody Mary.
All right. So the air date was October 11th, 2005. It's written by Eric Kripke, Ron Milbauer, and Terry Hughes Burton. This was directed by Peter Ellis. And our supporting cast is Johanna Huguet, who plays Mary, and Marnette Patterson, who plays Charlie. Now let's get into our scene by scene. The very first thing I took note of is I know every week I do not need to rehash their recaps, but I do want to say the recap is very focused on Sam just like hating his life and Jess dying. So,
Yeah, that's one thing that they do get better about as the seasons and the episodes go on, is making them very relevant to what they need you to remember about past
mhm,
events. They get much better about the recaps, not just like, here's the whole episode.
yeah, for sure. Um, but yeah, so you already know this is going to be a Sam heavy storyline.
Hmm.
I already said this, but it takes place in Toledo, Ohio, a real town. And we have our opening scene. 3 girls are playing Truth or Dare. They are 12-year-olds playing Truth or Dare. And it
Hmm.
seems,
As you do.
yeah, it's like, it seems innocent enough. It's like a party game for sleepovers.
Hmm.
And then Lily is dared by one of her friends to go in the bathroom and say Bloody Mary 3 times. We get a child lore drop here about what she does when she's summoned. And
Gotta love the random expedition from the children.
yes, and then the one sensible friend is like, why would anyone do that? Which
Yeah,
is like
agreed.
the correct question. But
Yeah.
the other 2 girls are like, because it's not real, and they go do it.
But what if it is?
Mm-hmm.
Like in this instance, then your dad gets killed.
Yeah, it's you.
And then I know, like, the one of the main things, obviously, Bloody Mary. Right off the bat, kind of going into that, it's actually is a legendary spirit in the real world. If that's not obvious, because we've all kind of heard of it. I feel like at this point, very much in the
Mm-hmm.
cultural zeitgeist. At least where we live in America, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but she usually was summoned, like at least the origins of it initially was summoned to basically reveal the future to you.
Hmm.
Basically, historically, the ritual, what it's based on, was a group of young women walked up a flight of stairs backwards with a candle and a hand mirror in a darkened house.
Okay.
And by staring in the mirror, you're supposed to get a vision of your future husband. But sometimes you would get a skull, meaning you'd die before you get married.
Oh.
Yeah. And then obviously that evolved, like that ritual evolved into modern times, into the Bloody Mary folklore that is basically by invoking her name in front of a mirror in a darkened room or a room lit by candles. Normally 3 times, but apparently I saw that there's one version of the story that has you have to say it 47 times,
Oh,
which I'm like, that's a lot.
who's counting?
Yeah. But once she's invoked, basically this episode does an incredible job of getting it right of what she can do. Sometimes though, she actually shows up and she's evil, or she's not evil. She's actually like friendly to you and will
Okay.
answer your questions and tell you, answer your questions about the afterlife or whatever. But sometimes she can be very evil or even potentially a demon, according to the stories, basically.
Hmm.
Where she would then scream at you, curse at you, strangle you, steal your soul, drink your blood, or and exactly what happens in this episode, scratch your eyes out. Or at least what is said she does is correct. She can scratch your eyes out.
Yeah, I had never heard of that part before, so that's interesting.
Yeah, I hadn't heard the scratch your eyes out part until like doing research for this episode, but yeah, apparently that is one of her canon things she does.
Hmm.
Which I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. So yeah.
And then one thing that this also reminded me of was there's like other like games like this,
Hmm.
almost like it's like a game, like you do like a sleepover. There's like a
Hmm.
midnight game. There's another one. I'm not gonna get into it in this episode, but that'd be a fun one for like the archive addendums, I think.
Okay. And
We
like
can talk about.
a Ouija board,
Yeah, yeah,
those kind of
exactly. Like any of
things.
those kind of like weird like those sleepover games,
Hmm.
There's a bunch of folklore with those too, which I found really interesting that I found out about.
Yeah, for sure. That is getting added to the archive addendum list. We have a list. We just need to record them.
Soon.
But
Soon.
anyway, so basically Lily goes in the bathroom and her emotions are high because even though she's like, it's a fake, it's still like scary to go in a room with the lights off with just a candle and look into a mirror
Mm-hmm.
because your brain does that thing where it like fills in the blanks when you're looking in a
Yep.
mirror. So that's scary. But
Don't worry, I'll get to it later.
oh, okay. But yeah, so she does it. She says it 3 times. Her friends are outside of the bathroom waiting. And as soon as she says it the third time, they start banging on the door and screaming, which makes Lily scream, of course.
Obviously. Yeah, when I first saw it, I'm like, man, her friends are dicks.
That's what middle schoolers do though.
Yeah, that is true. But they're still dicks.
Mhm.
Banging on the door the third time. That's so rude.
Right. But then Lily's dad kind of just appears and he's like, "Hey, you need to keep it down because it's late."
Valid.
He walks past a reflective surface and you see a creepy person behind him.
Yeah, I hate it.
It kind of looks like a mix of Constance from episode 1 and the Ring girl.
This entire episode just reminded me of Grudge in the Ring. Like
Mhm.
the entire episode, because even like when the girl gets out of the mirror in the end of the episode, spoilers again, by the way. Like she even walks in that creepy kind of like J horror kind of way.
Mhm. When
I got a lot of flashbacks to that.
in the interview I listened about this, they were asked if like the Ring was an inspiration and they actually didn't remember. They were like, I have no idea when the Ring even came out versus this episode.
Yeah, I have no idea either.
And the actress who played her said like 'cause she only has like one line of dialogue at the end.
Yeah.
She said her audition was basically doing that like creepy walk hand movement things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Yeah,
like,
makes
oh,
sense.
how interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we find out his name is Mr. Shoemaker because the girls say like, sorry, Mr. Shoemaker, for like making all the noise. And he walks into the bathroom and we see him grab a pill bottle. And I'm putting that detail in there because it's important for later. And when he looks in the mirror, his like face starts to crack.
Creepy.
Like veins pop up on his face. And that's kind of all we know from there.
Mm-hmm.
An older child walks in the house, like a teen. And she goes upstairs and then she finds a pool of blood in the bathroom and it was their dead father.
R.I.P. Mr. Shoemaker.
Yes. Now we jump to the POV of Sam having a nightmare of Jess burning.
I'm
And
so shocked.
yeah, but this time it changes because she says, "Why, Sam?"
Gotta love that internalized guilt.
Mm-hmm. And Dean wakes up Sam from his nightmare. And he says, "Sooner or later, we're going to have to talk about this," which is like just kind of interesting because Dean is like the no chick flicks moment type of guy. And
Yeah.
he deflects instead of talking. But then after I thought about it, he deflects his own trauma. He wants to help his
Yeah.
brother. So
Exactly.
he's going to ask his brother what's wrong. But if Sam asked Dean what was wrong, he'd be like, "This isn't about me," type of thing.
Yep. I understand that.
Yeah. So now they are in Toledo trying to figure out what happened to Mr. Shoemaker. They go to the morgue and they're pretending to be med students from Ohio State. And they're saying they need to see the corpse for a paper, which is just such an interesting lie. I'm like deviating from the notes because I'm thinking about this in real time. This person died like the day before. So it's like, how
Yeah.
would it's like we're
How would they even know this?
unless they're saying the doctor was like, "Hey, I actually have a fresh one, come visit."
Yeah.
But then also like Ohio State has its own like medical center and like they wouldn't have to travel to Toledo. That's like 3 hours away. They could
Mhm.
do it there in Columbus. Like whatever. It's fine. But we find out the doctor is out for lunch and he'll be back in about an hour. They tell the assistant they can't wait that long because they have to head back to Columbus by then. And I say they're doing a good job about locations so far.
Yeah, no kidding.
As somebody who lives in the Columbus area and went to college close to Toledo, I'm like, hey, I know where these places are. And
Mhm.
it is not a fun drive. So, yeah, you do kind of want to leave as soon as possible.
Accurate.
And then Sam bribes him with money. It was all 20s. I assume it was like $100.
Yeah, it looked like it'd be about that or something like along those lines.
Yeah. And Dean was like, "Hey, I won that money in a poker tournament."
Well, he was sort of like, "Hey, I earned that," and he's like, "Have you
Yeah.
played poker?"
Which
And he's like, "Yeah, and
poker is not easy.
no, no, it's not."
I thought this was interesting that we see them earning money in other ways besides credit card fraud.
Hmm.
Um,
I think it's more of a just like you earn it however you can get it kind of thing
mhm,
in their job, you know.
yes. So I would definitely say playing poker and winning, even if it was only $100, is a win. Like you did
Hmm.
earn it.
It still is. Oh yeah.
So anyway, the coroner's assistant, that's what I'm going to call him. They don't give him a title, but I'm going to say that because this guy clearly had medical training, but he's not a doctor yet.
Yeah, and he's also a creep. Like he is the weirdest dude. Like
Yes.
this, I don't know if it was just like an acting choice, like by the
He could
actor,
have
but
been.
like he is so excited and
Mhm.
so weirdly happy about this whole thing. Like it's just
Yeah.
you're too into your job makes me worry. As
Right.
a coroner, like I'm a little worried now.
So they ask him like what's happening with the eyes, and he said they liquefied. It's not that they were scratched; they kind of just like exploded.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Like such an insane way to kill someone, make their eyes explode.
Hmm. He does say that like there was more bleeding in the brain than he's ever seen, but he like sounded really happy about it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the guy's just like odd, where it's like, bro, I would not have been surprised by the end of the episode if he was the bad guy somehow. Like he
Right.
summoned the ghost or something. Like he's was that
Um,
into this that it was like, hmm.
so he did explain that capillaries and eyes can burst during a stroke, but he's never seen a full eyeball burst. But I guess it's like not out of the realm of possibilities.
Yeah, I didn't know. Like I know like capillaries can burst, but I
Mm-hmm.
Never thought an eyeball can explode, so I don't know how relevant that is. I should have looked that up as part of my lore.
Yeah.
About eyeballs exploding. Like, I did look that up in terms of, like, trying to find lore about it, but there's no, like, lore about eyeballs exploding, so,
Uh,
that I could find. But I didn't
mhm.
know about real medically, like, if you could actually explode.
Fair. Maybe somebody who's listening can know and they will tell us.
Yeah, if you're a biologist or a doctor or something, let
Uh,
us know.
and then Sam or Dean asks if they could see the medical record. That sounds like a Sam question. I didn't write that down. And the assistant guy was like, "Well, I'm not really supposed to show you that." And then Sam like takes out the wallet to give him more money.
Yeah, which I found hilarious.
Hmm.
They both just looked annoyed at that point. Like, really?
Yeah. And then we don't get to see that part. We have a jump cut to them like walking out, and Sam is like, "Well, it could just be a freak medical thing." And Dean says, "How many times in Dad's long and varied career has it actually been a freak medical thing and not a sign of an awful supernatural death?" And then Sam says, almost never."
Roll credits. It said the title. Uh, but
Yeah.
yeah, like, I found that amusing too, because they're just
Mhm.
like, well, maybe it's nothing, and it's like, how many times have been nothing? Well, like, never.
Yes. So they're like, "Let's go talk to his kids." And they get there and it's the wake for the dad. And
Yeah, which is just crazy.
Mhm.
One, it's crazy that, like, I feel like it's a little crazy that wakes at the house. Like, I mean, like, I'm sure that is in if you're doing it like out of nowhere, like the last minute. I mean, you're not expecting it at all.
Mhm.
Sudden death. I mean, maybe fine. But it was just like so bizarre. I'm just like waltzing into a wake, and I'm like, oh my god, guys.
I know. They didn't even leave. Also, I have a little history I will give you right now. In the olden days, wakes were like always at houses. And like the bodies were usually there too. Um, but in modern times, obviously, we don't really do that anymore. But you can. If you don't want it to be at a funeral home, you can do it in your house.
Fair enough. Yeah, I know that they used to be done in the house more often than not, but
Hmm.
I didn't think of. In modern times, like you said, just don't think of it as being like a house activity,
Yeah.
especially like the day after, and especially like these guys just
Hmm.
walking in like at the birthday party. It looks like a birthday party. Like, that's what I
Yeah.
thought it was at first. Was
Oh, not the people wearing black and mourning.
well, no, I mean, like, after like the first scene,
Oh.
like, them walking into it. I'm like, oh, are they having like a get together? And I was like, oh, it's a wake.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, they go to the backyard and Dean and Sam introduce themselves and they say they worked with her dad and they are like super willing to talk about this to somebody. And
Yeah.
Donna is the oldest daughter and she says she had never seen a sign of a stroke, but that has to be what it is. And Lily then says, "No, it's my fault because I said Bloody Mary in the bathroom 3 times." And then Donna's like, "No, it's not your fault. Don't say that," and stuff. And then Dean says, "Well, it's obviously not your fault because you said it, not your dad." Because the legend is whoever says it is the one who
Yeah.
gets the punishment.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they go back into the house to investigate the house. They're just so like unhinged. I'm like, why are you doing this in the middle of a
Especially
week?
right now.
Yeah. Um, and Sam says that kids all over the country play this, but their dad has never found any evidence that this legend is actually real. So
Hmm.
they're like, maybe the legend originated in Toledo. But again, typically it's whoever says it is the one who gets attacked,
Yeah.
but here someone else did. A girl that we now know as Charlie comes upstairs and is like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And they're trying to do like a had to use the bathroom, but both of them were in there. And she says, "Tell me what's going on," or I start screaming because she's like a 17-year-old girl and they're both
Hmm.
in their 20s.
Yep.
So, so far in this episode, we've had a bribe and a threat to get info out of people.
Hey, I mean, it's
So,
working.
yeah,
Both of them are pretty successful at this point.
yes. But the threat here, it does get Sam talking, and
I mean, makes sense.
mhm. And they do, all they say here is they think that something else that's not a stroke happened, and to give them a call if she and her friends notice anything strange. And he scribbles his phone number down on a receipt.
Mhm.
Sam is explaining that it's hard to find out what's happening here because the legends of Bloody Mary are so widespread and they vary a lot. But one thing they always have in common is it's a woman named Mary who dies right in front of a mirror. So they have to get to work searching for women in this town who meet the criteria. Dean says this is going to be annoying, and Sam starts saying it won't be annoying if they have a computer. And then the camera pans over to a computer that says out of order. And Sam says, I take that back. This will be very annoying.
Yeah, and I thought that was hilarious. That was a fun little one-liner thing, and also kind of a foreshadowing to when they get that laptop that they have like the whole time. um,
Mm-hmm.
Along with this, like since it's kind of folklore related, I wasn't able to find anything that's like every version of this is
Hmm.
like a Mary that died in front of a mirror, but there is a lot of different like speculation on who Mary was, from like a Mary like a Queen
Mm-hmm.
Mary, or down to like just someone like named Mary that was like
Mm-hmm.
killed in the witch trials and is like a witch or a spirit like that. Like so there is like a bunch of different ones that talk about Mary, but nothing like about specific Marys dying in front of mirrors.
Yeah.
And like we'll get to them. And like the mirror thing too is like a another thing that is common.
Mm-hmm.
Um, where that can basically trap souls. That was another thing they did very well in this episode of explaining
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah, mirrors are viewed as portals or gateways like that, and can also suck in spirits.
Hmm.
Why when people did have those wakes at home, a lot of the traditions you cover the mirrors up in the house after someone
Mm-hmm.
recently dies, so they can't get trapped there.
Yeah, for sure.
And do this.
Yeah. When you said like the origins of Bloody Mary, I know it people say it was like Queen Mary of Scots, but then some people also say it was Mary Tudor, which was King Henry VIII's daughter, and they were around at the same exact time and they did wildly crazy things. I mean, who
Mhm.
wouldn't in like the 1700s or 1600s whenever
Mhm.
they were around? Um, I hear those two a lot. Or they're like, these are the modern day Bloody Marys or whatever. And it's like,
Yeah,
I don't know if it started with them.
like I said, it kind of just goes from
Hmm.
all over the place.
Yeah.
So that is another thing very accurate with what they said,
Hmm.
that they're very widely
Yeah.
varied rather.
True. So now we go to the POV of Charlie, the girl Sam just gave his number to. And she's calling Jill, Donna's other friend, and they're talking about the boys and what they were looking for. And Charlie asked Jill if she thinks something else happened to Donna's dad. And Jill kind of starts messing around and joking that Bloody Mary actually got him. And she's like, I'm going to go say it in the mirror. And
Again, these people just have dicks as friends.
this is what teenagers do.
So teenagers and middle schoolers apparently do.
It is.
Still dicks.
It, true, but it is what they do. So she says it and she's like, nothing's happening. Meh. And then she screams. And then Charlie screams. And then she's like, oh, I'm joking around. It's fine. Except she's not fine. Bloody Mary is actually in all the reflective services, like following her around. And then
Mm-hmm.
she goes back to the bathroom, the reflection is her, but it's not her, which is like one of the freakiest things that is like ever to exist in media, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's always a very disturbing thing when like the mirrored image isn't reflecting the same thing of what the character's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that I put a note here for some of my notes because it's an interesting like the reason why like Bloody Mary at all as like a thing,
Mm-hmm.
as a folklore and in general like this kind of phenomena, like this kind of thing why it freaks us out so bad too, is one we're used to like knowing what we look like, and if anything looks like us but isn't us is always like a very creepy
Mm-hmm.
thing for people. That's why like shape changers and all those kind of things are so scary.
Mm-hmm.
But this whole seeing an entity in the mirror or seeing something that's you but not quite you is a phenomenon that's really interesting called the strange face illusion, where like if you stare long enough into a mirror, especially in low light, your brain will distort the images in the mirror to become more of like a demonic or like twisted version of the face. So like elongated smiles, elongated eyes,
Mm-hmm.
like stuff like that. Like it's just really interesting because it's like our brains are trying to comprehend what we're looking at, and we're like, it's not us because
Mm-hmm.
we're us, and then it's like, but that is us, and it's like that conflict is causing that issue, and then the low light usually doesn't help.
Yeah, for sure. That's
I've
interesting.
never done it, don't want to do it, but I know it's a thing.
Mm-hmm. Uh, so then we find out here that Jill's eyes start bleeding, and her reflection says to her, "You killed that boy." And then Jill died.
Dun dun dun. Foreshadowing.
Then Sam, we jump back to Sam. He's having another nightmare about Jess, and she again says, "Why, Sam?" Dean wakes up. Sam, or no, Dean doesn't wake up. Sam wakes up on his own this time, and he
Hmm.
says, "Why did you let me fall asleep?" And then Dean says, "Because I'm an awesome brother. What were you
Which I
dreaming
love that
about?"
response. That
Yeah.
response is so good.
And then Sam says he was dreaming about lollipops and candy canes. And Dean says,
Another good response.
"Mhm." And Dean just says, "Yeah, sure." And I'm just like, just talk about it.
Hmm.
Like,
They're too strong of men to discuss their feelings.
true.
At least yet, for now. They get better about it.
This is also where I find something strange. Technically, I think it might be a continuity error. I didn't write it down as one, but now that I'm thinking about it, because they're in the hotel room right now, and Dean is saying he hasn't found anything useful, and he was doing like a full database search of Marys who have died. So he was
Mhm.
using a laptop. So like why the above comment of like it will be annoying because the computers are out of order doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you're right. Because now it's like, oh, well, they just found a computer anyway, and
Yeah.
it's still a pain in the ass.
I mean maybe they stole it. I don't know.
That is funny though.
Hmm.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I didn't either until just this moment.
uh, funny.
But Sam now gets a phone call from Charlie and she explains what happened to Jill and she asks if she's insane and Dean says she's not and she said that makes her feel worse.
Yeah, because her whole reality just kind of crumbling around her,
Yeah.
and also she has to like contend with the fact that Bloody Mary's a real thing apparently.
Yes. They asked for help getting into Jill's room to search and Charlie tells Jill's mom she just needed time alone in Jill's room to like grieve. And then she sneaks the boys in through the window.
How does this work? Like, how does this work out for them without them getting caught?
I do God
Bat valid.
writing the story.
Yeah,
That's
true.
it.
Spoiler.
Because I'm like, Jill's mom would have heard all of this.
Yeah, heard like 3 sets of footprints or footfalls.
Yes, and two men talking, like deep voices carry far. So like
Hmm.
she would have heard. Maybe she was being just like blissfully ignorant.
I guess.
And then they also removed the entire mirror off the wall, and that has to make noise.
You would think.
And then the window keeps opening and shutting because Dean has to go back outside and get their blacklight mirror and then come back.
Well, they probably didn't close it every time.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, Dean gets the black light and we see the name Gary Bryman on the back of the mirror. And Charlie has no idea who it is. Fast forward, Sam finds out that was an 8-year-old boy who died in a hit and run accident and the driver was never found. And he says the car description and Charlie says that was Jill's car. Yeah, so now you start thinking, what did Mr. Shoemaker do?
Hmm.
Right? So then they go back to Donna's house. They grab the mirror off of it and it says Linda Shoemaker. And they're asking Donna about Linda. And Linda is Donna's mom. And she says Her mom overdosed on sleeping pills and it was an accident. And that's why I said before it was important to note that Mr. Shoemaker was taking pills before bed. I mean, it may not have been sleeping pills because some people just take their medication at night, but it kind of links
Well, you can put
together.
2 and 2 together. Yeah, you can put 2 and 2 together pretty easily that he probably killed his wife. And thus,
Hmm.
the ghost seems to be a vengeful spirit trying to redeem,
Yes.
or not redeem, but get revengeance on anyone who's killed someone else and is keeping a secret.
Hmm. Right. And then Donna tells them to leave because they're implying it wasn't an accident, which we all know overdoses could be accidental. Maybe they were just his pills that his wife took, or maybe he noticed she was overdosing and didn't help, or like there could have been a lot of things. It didn't have to be him directly murdering her, but
Yeah.
either way, he was involved and she died. So,
Yeah, and it could also just be like the ghost is like targeting people who feel like they've done that,
mhm,
something like that,
that's
right?
true.
Like has that regret or something. Because technically, Sam didn't do anything to his girlfriend who died.
Yeah.
So like,
His
since Jess didn't get killed by him, it's like it's really just got to be the feeling of like
mm,
I feel like I did it or something.
the dialogue to Sam when we get there is more like he didn't do anything to prevent it. So, like, in a way, it is his fault because he didn't warn her.
Sure.
And I kind of,
I feel like that's a stretch even for ghosts. I mean,
mm,
to be fair, we established in the first episode that ghosts don't really care about, semantics of things
mhm,
like, rules as much.
yeah. Um, so yeah, they leave, and then Charlie says she wants to stick around, and they say just like don't say the words, and she's like, "Oh, I won't."
No kidding.
And now we find out. Oh, this is where we find out Dean is doing a nationwide search to find any Marys who have ever died in front of a mirror. And Sam is trying to reason with him that there is a pattern. So both
Mm.
victims so far have secrets where somebody died, and a mirror can have several meanings in folklore, as in like they reveal your secrets is like the major
Hmm.
one.
Yeah, and it's goes back to a folklore thing too, of just kind of like the origins of mirrors too, back to ancient Greece and Rome even, where ancient Greeks used to think of any kind of reflection of yourself as like a window into your soul or a reflection of your soul, and then that carried over to Romans as well.
Okay. It
Yeah,
always goes back to them, doesn't it?
yeah, it's always the Romans,
Stupid
which in turn is always
Romans.
the Greeks
Yeah.
because they stole everything.
So they find a Mary Worthington in Indiana who died in front of a mirror. And there was a handprint and a name on it too. And it was an unsolved murder.
Dun dun dun.
It's in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is also a real place, and it's about a 2 hour drive from Toledo. So they drive there and they ask a cop who was on the case some questions, but it had been 35 years. And they
Jeez.
said someone murdered her by cutting her eyes out with a knife.
Oh,
I know.
brutal. It also makes sense
Hmm.
with the murders or the deaths that are happening.
Yeah. And they ask him what he thinks happened. And he explains he thinks the TRE on the photo was Mary trying to spell out the name of her killer. So he thinks it was a surgeon named Trevor Sampson, but they only had like circumstantial evidence against
Yeah.
him. Like they just had that TRE, and then they had a diary entry saying she was married. No, she was seeing a married man whose name started with a T. And in the last entry, she said she was going to tell T's wife about the affair, and then she died.
And had her
Um,
eyes surgically removed.
and Dean asks why he thinks it was Samson, and the cop says her eyes were cut out in like a surgical way, that there were no prints and no witnesses, so it could never be proved. And Samson is no longer alive, so they can't even talk to him about it.
Hmm.
Then they ask where Mary is buried, but she was
No justice.
cremated. Huh?
So she gets no justice.
No. But Mary was cremated, which is the brother's like actual worst nightmare because that means the spirit is attached to something else.
Yep.
Um, and now they want to know if Mary's family still has the mirror she was killed in front of.
Yeah, which makes sense because along with any kind of other things we've kind of talked about already,
Mm-hmm.
the ghosts can attach themselves to supposedly, like in folklore, attach themselves to items that are important to them or that were around them when they died.
Mm-hmm.
So,
True.
and like we said before, the mirrors trap souls.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense.
Yep. Now we are back to Donna's POV, and she's scolding Charlie for bringing strange men into her house, which is fair enough.
Fair.
For all we know, a 17-year-old and a 12-year-old are the only two people living in this house. I'm sure they have a
Mm-hmm.
guardian, but they're never shown.
Yeah.
So it is completely valid to be like, why are you bringing strange men into my home?
Mm-hmm.
Charlie is trying to say like Bloody Mary is real, but Donna is just kind of fed up with it. And so she says it in the school bathroom mirror 3 times and nothing happens. So she's like, see, nothing happened. And then I said, the music suggests otherwise
Yeah.
because there was creepy music.
Yep.
And then we find out now that Mary is actually following Charlie. So what secret does Charlie have? But you
Mm-hmm.
see Mary in like other reflective surfaces. It's not just mirrors, it's like windows and stuff.
Yeah. Anything reflective.
Hmm. And
Which I thought was a cool thing, like a cool ability to give the ghost to be able to jump between reflective surfaces.
yes, Charlie sees Mary in every reflection in the middle of class, and she just starts like screaming, and she like throws her chair at the class window, or I think it's her chair. I don't know. She smashes it though, and then the
Yeah.
teacher is like, "What's happening?" And then she sees Mary in like his glasses, and she screams again.
Yeah. This scene, I know like the Hereditary came out
Mm-hmm.
significantly later than this episode, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure on that, but I feel like that's probably right. But it just reminded me of this scene in that movie. Like that's the entire
Oh.
time I was watching this, where the
Mm-hmm.
son basically looks over and sees a reflection and then starts freaking out in class too.
Yeah, for sure. I thought of that as well. Um,
Tell we like horror.
yes. So after she screams into the teacher's eyes, basically when she
Yeah.
she sees her, um, we jump back to Sam, who was calling the family and asking if he could buy the mirror. And he finds out the brother sold it to an antique store in Toledo.
There we go. We figured out why
Yes.
Toledo. Why now?
Dean is asking about the lore behind mirrors trapping spirits, and Sam explains when someone would die, the family would cover up the mirrors so their soul wouldn't get trapped. So the theory is she died in front of the mirror, her soul is tied to the mirror. But Sam doesn't understand how she can like move between reflective surfaces. And Dean just
Mhm.
wants to like find the mirror and smash it. Now Charlie calls Sam and they get her to a motel and they're covering up all the reflective surfaces and she has her eyes covered and Sam just says like, "Hey, don't look at any reflective surfaces and you'll be fine." And Charlie says she can't keep it up forever.
Yeah.
But they don't have to because the brothers are going to save the day.
Also, it's weird how like seeing the reflection's the thing that allows her to kill you. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like it's not just like she can teleport to you and be like, "Hey, I'm here." It's like later on she's shown that she can leave mirrors and become like kind of
Mhm.
physical. So why didn't she just
Mhm.
do that now?
I think it's
Unless it's like you have to look at her so long,
yeah,
like video game mechanics or something.
I think it's because she was like, they smash her mirror, so now she's able to come out of it. But I
Maybe.
do think you do have to look at her. I don't know. But anyway, Dean then sits down on the bed and he says, "We need to know what happened." And she started retelling them what happened in the bathroom with Donna. And he's like, "No, that is not what I mean. We need to know your
Mm-hmm.
secret." And she explained she had a boyfriend that she was scared of. And while they were fighting, she broke up with him and he told her, if you walk out that door, I'm going to kill myself. And in the heat of the moment, she just said, go ahead, and left. And then he did it,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously isn't her fault. Like, yes, you don't say things like that to people. However, this was a manipulation tactic by her boyfriend to keep her in a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
So, like, really, the correct course of action would have like to been call the police after you leave and say like somebody threatened to kill themselves,
Yeah.
basically. But overall, she did not have to stay with him just because he made
And it's the
that
same
threat.
kind of thing with like Sam, where it's like not really her fault.
Yeah, he means it's not really Sam's fault for not telling Jess.
Yeah.
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 And even Dean says it's not her fault. And Sam says spirits don't see shades of gray. They just see that someone died and Charlie has a secret about it, which goes back to like what we were talking about with Sam when it
Yeah.
talks to him. So Sam then says he needs to summon her. He thinks they need to summon her to a mirror and then smash the mirror. And he's not sure if it's going to work, but he is going to be the one to summon her. And he says he knows Mary will come after him. And Dean is fed up. He pulls over the whole car in the pouring rain.
Mm-hmm.
And he is like, is this about Jessica? And Sam just says, like, stop. Or no, Dean says, this has to stop. All of the nightmares and calling out her name in the night. And he's like, it's not your fault, Sam. And he says he needs to blame the thing that killed her. And then he says, hell, even blame me. I'm the one that dragged you away from her in the first place.
Yeah.
And Sam says he doesn't blame Dean, but he blames himself for not warning her about the hunting life.
Which I don't think is very fair. Because, like,
Mm-mm.
how are you going to tell someone, yeah, all of, like, the creepy crawlies that you think are like, fake stories are
Mm-hmm.
real? And, like, who's going to take that seriously, first of all?
Right.
Like, no one's going to really take you seriously if you say that. So, like, how can this be your fault?
Mm-hmm. And then Dean says, well, it won't work anyway because I know all about it. To which Sam says, no, you don't. And Dean wants to know, but Sam won't tell him because he's like, well, it's not much of a secret if I tell you.
Yeah. Which makes sense. So in this context, and I like that later, they're like, we're going to have to talk about that secret.
Yeah. But he doesn't want Sam to summon Mary, but Sam wants to because he has a hero complex.
It's literally, they do this for the rest of the series. Both of them go back and forth of
Yes.
being the hero of like, no, not you. I'll do it. I'll sacrifice my soul for you. And then like that goes back and forth, like I said, over and over again.
Mhm.
Like, oh, I will give up my body to this angel for you, so you don't have to. Like,
And then it turns
yeah,
into like Cass doing that and then Jack doing that.
yeah.
And
It's a very common trope in this entire series of people being like, no, I'll sacrifice myself for everyone else.
Mhm. So they get to the antique store and they just break in. And they
Makes sense.
find the store has a ton of mirrors. They have to
A
find,
lot of antique mirrors apparently that
yes.
exist in Toledo.
So they have to find the mirror. But they find it at the way back of the store. Sam says it 3 times and is ready to smash a mirror when she shows up. So the
Mm-hmm.
cops show up. So Dean walks outside and he says he's the boss's kid, but he clearly isn't because it's somebody that is not Dean's nationality. And then we go back to Sam and he has a reflection now in the mirror that is starting to kill him. And his reflection is
Mm-hmm.
saying he killed Jessica. And then we go back outside and Dean just like punches the cops, both of them in the
Yeah, he's just like,
face
I don't have time for this, and then just like knocks them both out.
with a punch. He does a KO
Yeah, just
twice.
cold cocks them.
And then he just goes back inside.
Yep.
And this is where we find out Sam is having these nightmares because he was actually having dreams days before Jess died about her death.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't do anything about it. But really, what could he have done?
Yeah. And like in folklore and stuff, it's not uncommon for dreams to be interpreted as like predicting the future or like trying to give you messages and things like that. But they tend to be a lot more metaphorical and a lot less literal of like seeing your partner
Mm-hmm.
up on the ceiling above you burning.
Yes.
Like that doesn't that but to be fair, if you were in like normal life, like even where Sam was at the time,
Mm-hmm.
that seems pretty metaphorical. Because what are the odds that that's actually what's gonna happen?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Agreed.
So again, like you said, what could he have really done here?
Mm-hmm. Before Sam kind of went down, he had smashed the two mirrors next to the big one. But then when his reflection started talking to him, he could not smash the mirror. So,
Yeah, started like making his eyes start to melt or whatever.
yeah. So Dean comes in and smashes the mirror. And then they're both on the ground. I think they think it's over, but it's not because Mary climbs out of the mirror and she's like
Hmm.
all distorted, but she's free.
Yeah, this is where it really reminds me of The Ring and Grudge.
Hmm.
Where it's like this is clearly J horror right here.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't know any better, you'd think it's Sadako. Like
Hmm. She's causing both of their eyes to bleed. So Dean's eyes are bleeding.
which is
And
interesting. Like what are you doing, Dean?
yes. And in the interview I listened to, they actually asked the producer, like, what is Dean's secret? And they said that they never talked about it. They just made his eyes bleed. But that's not
But
fun for the story.
yeah. Yeah, they're just like, yeah. I mean, they're both the good guys. You got to make both the good guys in danger, so then like the climax is more heroic, right? Like,
Yeah.
but I like the idea of too, like he's hiding something, or like maybe he's like feel like, because like I said, I don't think it is like an actual like you killed someone,
Hmm.
or maybe like the guilt that you feel for killing someone, or potentially having a hand in it is what it's
Yeah.
actually targeting,
It,
and that could be like Dean feeling bad about his mom. It could be
hmm
like any of the other people. Like I'm sure people have died around him while he was a hunter
Or
with his
like,
dad.
yeah, like he couldn't save them because he does
Yeah.
tell Sam that, like, you can't save everybody.
Yeah. So like that wouldn't surprise me at all if that was like kind of in universe what's
Hmm.
going on. You know what I mean?
Because actually doesn't even offer to do this, which makes me think like he doesn't think he has any secrets around death.
Yeah.
So, but I would say he does because I feel like he doesn't go around telling everybody about what happened to his mom or the other hunts
Yeah.
he's been on and stuff. So he could.
Yeah.
But then Dean grabs another mirror and holds it in front of her, and then she kills herself for killing people.
I mean, it's really neat, especially with the whole concept of it being like a reflection of your soul.
Mm-hmm.
And her whole thing is about like the guilt of killing someone. So like it makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like kind of weird still.
Yeah. And then Dean drops that mirror and it shatters. So then he jokes that they probably have like 600 years of bad luck.
Which like doesn't make any sense, and it kind of bothered me a little bit because I
Mm-hmm.
was like, they had to have smashed so many mirrors then, and I just must have missed a lot of it during that fight scene.
Uh-huh.
Uh, to get up to 600, especially because like it's usually 7 years per mirror,
Mm-hmm.
which interesting enough is actually does go back again to those Greek and Romans that we mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
The Romans specifically, when they started making mirrors and like made of glass and polished metal surfaces like that,
Mm-hmm.
they believed that the gods looked at people's souls through these, and thus a broken one means a reflection of your soul that is like broken. So like you need to like repair that.
Mm-hmm.
And they also thought that since you broke a mirror and that's what the gods used to look at your soul, that that was like an insult to the gods. So the gods would send you bad luck for 7 years. Because and the reason why 7 years is because they also believe that every 7 years your body and soul became refreshed, which is fascinating too. Because like every 7 or so years your body completely
Mm-hmm.
remakes itself
Yeah.
in like biology, which is really neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is super interesting. And it does always go back to
But
them.
yeah, and then you went back and actually watched because we were just like so confused
Mm-hmm.
about this 600 number
Yes.
because they how many did they break? Four?
Yeah, they broke 4.
Four. And each of those, if you're doing like they stack, like you can make it seven
Mm-hmm.
per mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's only 28 years, not 600. Hello,
Yeah,
hello. It's not even close. Come on.
I know. That's funny though.
Yes.
So then we see Charlie again because they're telling her it's over and she can like leave that motel.
Hmm.
Actually, they drop her off at home and he tells her to forgive herself because sometimes bad things just happen and she couldn't have stopped it. And Dean says that's good advice. So my question
Hmm.
is, can we assume Sam is going to take his own advice? Probably not.
Not yet. I think eventually. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's like the first step of him trying to accept that advice.
Yeah. And then Dean says he is ready to know Sam's secret now. And Sam says he loves Dean and
Hmm.
he would die for him, but he needs to keep this to himself right now. And then they're driving down the street and he sees Jessica standing on the corner. So yeah, Jessica is still haunting him.
I feel like that would probably be that in general probably give him some kind of comfort at first
Mm-hmm.
before like hoping that it's not an actual like a vengeful spirit.
Yeah, true. So now let's get into our crime counter. This is a crazy one.
They did a lot of crimes in this one
So,
comparatively to the other ones at
yes,
least
true.
so far.
So the first one they did is not robbery, bribery. And they bribed the coroner's assistant. From what I could tell, for all intents and purposes, he is the
Yeah.
coroner's assistant. And that
Yeah.
is a public official because they are voted
Yep.
in. So that is
Hmm.
15 years in prison and a fine of 3 times the value of the bribe.
So probably like $300 and 15 years in prison.
So, from what I understood, it was like the value of like the value of the information you got, not necessarily the amount you paid.
That'd be hard to quantify.
I know, but who knows? It could be either way. I'm not a lawyer or
To be
anything.
fair, for $100 bribe, I doubt that it would be you get 15 years. I find that hard to believe, even if it is like a public official. But that's
Yeah,
technically what it should be.
as always, things could vary. Then they did a B&E into a house, and that's
Yep.
typically just 1 year in jail. Same with a B&E into a store, but they also vandalized it, so that takes it up to
Yep.
8 years.
Yep.
And then Dean assaulted 2 police
Uh,
officers
yeah.
with physical contact, but not with a deadly weapon. So that
Yep.
is another 8 years. So from this
Which
episode, it's 31 years.
which is nuts. They did a lot of crimes in this episode.
Yeah, and I actually, when I did my 8 years, I actually didn't count that for assault on 2 police officers. I just did like one count.
Yeah, so it'd actually probably be another 8, so probably more like 39, 40 years in
Yes.
prison. Uh,
So we can get into our episode ratings. But to make this go by fast, because we had a lot of the same numbers. So I can say for
mhm.
story and pacing, we both did 5 out of 5. We both loved it.
Like I said, it flew by, didn't have to think
Mm-hmm.
about it twice, just was enjoying the crap out of it. And I thought it was very
Mm-hmm.
well done going back and forth between the point of views and stuff, and to explain the story very well.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. With monster lore, this one varies. I gave it a 4 out of 5, and that is because I did not know all the monster lore until you told me. I didn't know how accurate it really was because I was like, well, I've never heard of Bloody Mary scratching your eyes out. I didn't. I was like, well, she's killing people who aren't saying it, but then she's also killing people who are saying it. So that's kind of confusing. So I was like, man, I'll give it a
Yeah.
4. And it was also high because I felt like they explained it a lot in universe. I just didn't know if it
Yes.
was compared to like outside.
Yeah, and that's why I gave it a 5 out of 5 because they did a great job in the story in the show of explaining what in universe
Mm-hmm.
the lore is relevant and what they do, things like that, very well. And it felt like didn't feel like super lore dumpy to me, where it's just like, oh, this
Mm-hmm.
character clearly needs to give exposition, but it's like the characters actually kind of made sense to how they figured it out and how they knew about it and stuff, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, again, 100% accurate. Like they really nailed this one between
Mm-hmm.
the mirrors being haunted, between the bad luck things, between the yeah, it was very good. And even
Yeah.
like all like the speculation they did, it was very good speculation. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I liked it a lot in terms of lore.
For character development, we both did 5 out of 5. We learn a lot
Yeah.
about Sam here.
We learned about Sam as well as just like Dean's also like protective nature of him,
Mm-hmm.
especially like the whole like you can't summon it, and then Sam's like hero complex like we were talking about. Like it sets up a lot of like recurring
Yeah.
points of their personalities like that, which and also like I said, find out a lot about Sam and his like trauma and also potential abilities that we'll get to later in
Mm-hmm.
future seasons. Of him being kind of psychic.
Yeah, for sure. Visuals and direction, I gave it a 5.
And I gave it a 4, which is like I
Yeah.
feel like ironic that we keep doing this, where you have a higher appreciation for the visuals and direction, and I have a higher for the monster lore.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
like we have specialties or something.
Um, but no, the cinematography and effects were really good because they're still in the realm of practical effects here. So like the
Mhm.
mirrors was really that actor like on the other side of the mirror, and they were still filming in film that wasn't digital. So
Yeah, you can tell by how grainy it is.
that the scene with Jill when she's talking to herself in the mirror, they had a double there, but when Sam does it, I do not know how they spliced that together because we see Sam on the ground and then Sam in the mirror as well. Um, so that probably
Well,
took
they
a
must
lot
have
of
just did
work.
2 shots probably and just spliced it onto the mirror. You know, like what like removed him in one
Yeah,
probably.
probably. I'm just saying it probably took a lot of work.
Yeah, for sure. I can't
And
imagine how hard this stuff is.
And something I forgot to mention because I didn't write it down is the actress who plays Mary said the ending shoot where she like crawls out of the mirror was 23 hours on set. It was the longest
Oh
day
my god.
she's ever had on set for anything. And that is because she had to be there at like 3 a.m. to get makeup done. And what they did for like the veins that went up her face, it was
Mhm.
like a pack with like a fake blood in it, and it had a thing that went to the back of her wig, and then when a button was pressed, it would like ooze out the fake blood. But what
That's
happened
cool.
is they pressed the button and it exploded on her face. It didn't trickle. Um,
Ah.
so she had to get makeup redone.
Oh no.
And the exec producer was saying when something like this happens, you have to like pivot your day because you have the studio space. You need to use it for something. And they
Mhm.
obviously can't redo that shoot until she has her makeup done. So, like, and they weren't prepared for it because he was like, this is really early days. No one was really prepared for the practical effects to go
Yeah,
wrong. Um,
makes sense.
it did go wrong. But yeah, 23-hour day for that scene.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just wanted to say that real quick, the reason why I gave it a 4 too
Mm-hmm.
was just because I really liked a lot of the back and forth and a lot of those shots.
Mm-hmm.
But there wasn't. I didn't realize there was as much like practical effects going on too either
Mm-hmm.
until you just told me. So I was just like, oh, it's like there's nothing like that looked too crazy to me or any
Mm-hmm.
like effects or any like things that I was just like, oh, that's incredible, you know.
Yeah,
But that's really cool. Like that makes it even cooler to know those things.
it does for sure. And same with the lore.
Yeah.
For emotional impact, we both gave it a 3. It was
Yeah.
kind of mid. I mean, like we learn a lot about Sam, but he's been feeling guilty for a long time, so it's not really.
Yeah. Nothing new.
Hmm.
Nothing that made me go like, "Oh my god, my heart," you
I
know?
did forget that he had been having dreams about Jess days before she died, which last episode, when Dean says, like, how long has it been since you had a good night's sleep? And my answer was like the night before Dean showed up, which would have been the night before Jess died. My answer has changed. It's the night before he started having those dreams.
Yes, for sure.
I don't think anybody's having a good night's sleep if you're dreaming about your partner dying.
Yeah, especially burning in flames right above you saying why.
Yes, right. Rewatchability, we both gave it a 4. It was fun.
Yep. Yeah, solid episode. Easily could throw it on and watch it again whenever.
Hmm.
Have fun with it. I very much enjoy it. And like I said, I get a big kick out of the lore making sense. That's
Hmm.
another reason why my rewatchability goes up because I'm just like, they did a great job.
Yes, if your ADHD can handle it, it's a it's a 4 or 5. And then Salt and Sass, we both gave it a 3. The banters, tropes, iconic lines didn't really happen this episode.
Yeah, I gave it a 3 because there was about 3 one-liners that I remember, or 3 interactions that I remember between Sam and Dean that made me chuckle like that. Which I'm pretty sure we named all of them in this review of it.
Probably.
So yeah, it was fine. Like they had enough banter where I gave it a 3, but not enough to make it anything higher.
Yeah, for sure. So both of us have the same exact average score.
Which I love that we just flopped the 2.
Average score and combined score is exactly the same of 4.14 out of 5. And this is actually like our highest rated episode. I'm pretty sure we rated this higher than the pilot.
The pilot I think is higher. I think our pilot's 4.43 if I recall. Or
Oh,
like that.
okay.
So like it's number 2 so far this season.
Mm-hmm.
It beats out the plane one by a little bit.
Oh, that's true. We did.
Because the plane we had an exact 4.0.
Yeah. Okay. The pilot did have it was
Almost the 5. So close.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, this so far out of the 5, this is the second highest rated episode. Oh, yeah.
And at the end of the season, I think we're planning on doing a recap of all of our scores to kind of figure out the order of our episodes and things too. So
yeah,
keep that in mind.
At the end of every season, we'll do like an episode that has a season recap, basically.
Mm-hmm. So if you want to know what order they're in, we'll let you know then. Unless you're keeping track at home, which fair enough.
True.
Alrighty. Well, do you have anything else you want to say?
No, we talked about it all.
Well, that brings us to the end of Season 1, Episode 5, Bloody Mary. Thank you all for joining us this week. Next week, we are trying to catch a shapeshifter. And don't forget, whenever you're ready, we'll see you in the archives.
Bye.